everyone. Thank you for joining us this month on Rocket Science Live. My name is Ty Sullivan. I am the Director of Player Development here at the Armory Power Pitching Academy. This month, we decided to come at you slightly differently than our normal seminars, and by that, we're going to be giving you some tips and tricks in order to keep your arm safe and healthy throughout your college, professional, or even high school season. One way to do that is by trying to keep up with your shoulder internal rotation. Now, what that is when your shoulder is set just like this direction is called internal rotation, this direction is called external rotation. Now, throughout the length of an entire season, pitchers tend to lose the ability to internally rotate their shoulder, but they're able to increase their ability to externally rotate their shoulder. One study done in 2012 took 45 Division I NCAA pitchers and put them through a simulated game, and that's 7 innings with rest time in between, and tested their range of motion before they pitched, then tested their range of motion after they pitched. They tested 24 hours later, they tested 48 hours later, and even 3 days later they tested. And what they found was that their pitchers that they tested lost about 10 to 15 degrees of range of motion this direction, even 3 days. That means 3 days after they pitched, their range of motion still didn't come back. Now, what we're going to be able to cover over these the next few minutes is we're going to go over some of the exercises and some of the drills and stretches that will be able to help keep you safe and healthy throughout your season. Now, one of the first stretches that we're going to be covering is called the sleeper stretch. Most people are very familiar with this one. It's been around for a long time. We're going to go over some ideas to make sure that we do it right and safely, so that way you don't end up tearing something like the labrum. So I'm going to lay down on the table, and the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're on your arm side, of course. And now you take this elbow and this shoulder and you pull them back and lock in the scap on the back side of your shoulder. Now, once you have that lined up, you can start at 90 degrees and you take your opposite hand and put it here on your wrist. And then you gently press down. Now, sometimes there will be guys that will have pain in the front of their shoulder, and that's okay. That's just an indicator that, hey, their anatomy isn't exactly this direction. So what you have to do is play with the angle between your shoulder and your elbow just like this, either up or down. And for me, mine is slightly lower than 90 degrees. Some guys might be a little bit higher, some guys might be a little lower or right at 90 degrees, but the key is to keep this shoulder stays locked and back in tight. Now what you do is you gently press down with the right hand or your non-throwing hand until you feel a light, gentle stretch on the back of your shoulder. That's somewhere right through here. Now if you don't feel on the front of your shoulder, again, play with that angle until you find that direction, that angle that best suits you. And then what we'll do is gently push down for about 15 to 30 seconds, either 2 to 3 sets, 4 sets of this, just like that. Alright, so the next stretch we're going to do is called the chicken wing stretch. And what that's going to help do is help increase mobility in the front of the shoulder. So what you're going to do is take your throwing hand, put it up behind your back just as high as it'll go. And it doesn't need to be uncomfortable, but you just want to kind of make it go as high as it can take. So the next step will be to lay down on a table or on the floor with that arm behind your back, just like this, and with your knees slightly bent. Now watch my knees. What you're going to do with these knees is you're going to take them away from your arm side, at the same time taking your head away from your knees. Alright, and then now you're going to rotate back the other direction and turn your head the opposite direction, just like that. One key to focus on is making sure that both shoulders stay on the ground. And you'll go over and back just like this. We usually go between 5 and 8 each direction, or you could simply hold each side about 15 to 30 seconds, just like this. So the next stretch we're going to go over is called the aptly towel stretch. And this one's similar to the way that the chicken wing stretches your arm. What you're going to do is take a towel, or you could take a t-shirt or any other thing like that, maybe even like a luggage strap or something like that. You're going to put one in your throwing hand and put the other in your non-throwing hand, just like this. Now, you're going to let it drape over your back, and then flip your hand so you can grab it just like this, like you're about to go into the chicken wing stretch. And now the idea is to take your opposite hand and gently pull up until you feel a stretch across the front of your shoulder, just like this. Now you can do it this direction and hold for, again, 15-30 seconds. Then you can switch your hands, just like this, and pull down, stretching out your lat and your tricep, just like this. Okay, so for the next technique, we're going to demonstrate what's called a pec minor release. So I got my lovely assistant, Randy Sullivan, here. He's going to go ahead and lay down on his back. What you're going to do first is take your hand, put down a ball. You can use anything from a tennis ball to a baseball. We have this nice little foam ball for us. But what you're going to do is notice that his shoulder has tilted anteriorly. And what that means is that his pec minor, which runs across his chest, has become really, really tight and is inhibiting him from getting range of motion in this direction. All right, so what you're going to do first is find the pec minor, and you can do that by taking your hand and feeling right underneath the collarbone and just on the inside of the shoulder. Then you'll find that it feels almost like a knot, like on your neck. Right there. There it is. So it should feel slightly discomforting for your athlete. Now the next step is to place that foam ball right on that spot and then have his thumb turned down just like this with his arm about at this angle. Now what he's going to do is he's going to push down to the floor and I'm going to resist. And it'll feel slightly discomforting for about 5 seconds and then we'll relax. We'll go a little bit further. He's going to push down again, just like that. All right, and then one more. We're going to go just all the way down. Push, 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 push. Good. All right, and then now you'll notice that the shoulder has now relaxed and it sits normal. And now his range of motion has increased by about 15 degrees. So what we've done is we're going to move over to the bands now up here on the wall. And now what we're going to do is use those bands to help demonstrate some exercises and stretches to help increase the mobility on the back side of our shoulder. So what you'll do is grab your band in your throwing hand, just like this. And now you'll take your lower body into a lunge and try to take your lunge away from the wall while keeping your upper body in the same spot. And what you'll notice is that you'll start to feel a really good stretch down the lats, down the back side of your shoulder, just like this. Alright, so you can stay at this angle for a little while. And then the next step is to twist all the way over until you start to feel a really good pull across the back side of your shoulder into what's called the teres minor and major, which are located right here, that are part of your rotator cuff. Just like this, and we'll hold again for about 15 to 30 seconds. And you can play with both angles. You can go back and forth depending on which one you feel the better stretching. Now the next step is to go from this same spot with the bands, except now you stand all the way up and extend your arm across your chest. Now the idea is to walk your body in a twisting manner, just like this, until you start to feel a really good stretch in your shoulder. So the idea is that your hips twist, but your shoulder stays in the same spot, just like this, until you feel a good stretch. And you can turn your hand over depending on which way you feel the stretch more, just like that. Now the next exercise we're going to go over are called scap push-ups. And these can be done on the floor or on the wall, depending on which one you prefer. What you're going to do is put your hands up on the wall just like this and stand straight up and down. Now what you want to make sure is that you're not in a shrugging position here. Your shoulders are about 90 degrees or parallel to the floor, just like this. What you'll do now is take your shoulders and pinch them as tight as you can behind you, trying to bring your chest as close to the wall as possible. Now watch as my elbows are going to stay straight. They're not going to bend as I go forward. We're not doing a wall push-up. We're just trying to take your shoulder blades as far forward as they'll go, or as far backward as they'll go, and then as far back like this as they'll go. So you want to come towards the wall, and then away from the wall, just like that, as far as you can in both directions. Now these are up to you on how many you want to do. Usually we do between 15 or 20 of these and then move on to the next exercise. And the whole idea is just trying to go as big as a range of motion as possible each direction. This next exercise we're going to do is called a shoulder roll. What you'll do is put your hand on the wall just like this, about the same height as where your shoulder is. Now the idea with this is that you're going to take this shoulder and roll it all the way forward as far as you'll go. And I know it looks kind of gross, but the idea is that when you come all the way back down, you bring your arm back up like you're doing a shrug, like a one-arm shrug, and then push your shoulder all the way forward. And this one's kind of strange. It's something that you're going to have to play with and learn it. But what the idea is that we're trying to increase the mobility throughout your whole shoulder. That's where your shoulder is. It's from your scap and your back, all the way around from your shoulder joint into your collarbone, just like this. And what we're trying to do is increase the amount of range of motion that you have throughout that entire shoulder to keep you safe and healthy. And so just like the scap push-ups, we do about 15 to 20 reps of these, and then we usually switch and do the other side. Because one balanced shoulder is great, but two balanced shoulders means that your arms are definitely going to be healthy. The last stretch we're going to go over is called the doorway pec stretch. Now if you don't have a doorway to do this stretch, but you do have a flat wall, it works just the same. What you're going to do is put your arm up against the wall just like this, and then twist your body so that your shoulders are almost facing forward, but your arm is in the same position it was in. Now the idea with this one is that you're going to lean your body forward towards the wall at an angle just like this, leaving your arm in the same position. And what you'll notice is you're going to feel a really good stretch across the front of your pec just like this. So again, you're going to back off and you'll lean forward towards the wall at an angle just like this until you feel a really good stretch right here in the front of your shoulder. Thanks for watching this episode of Rocket Science Live. Guys, we want to encourage you to be able to do these stretches, 2 to 3 times a day throughout your season. Guys, these exercises, the mobility required in order to have health and durability is critical. If you don't have the mobility, you're going to put yourself at risk of getting injured. And with these stretches and drills and exercises, I hope they'll give you an idea of what to do in order to keep your arms safe and healthy. If you need to contact us, please visit our website at www.armorypitching.com, or you can email us at randy@armorypitching.com, or if you need to call, our number is 1-866-STRIKE-3. That's 1-866-STRIKE-3. And until next time, y'all, blow it up.